Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Apple announced updated versions of 3 popular products on September 7th in their faraway event, starting with Apple Watch, AirPods Pro and iPhone 14. Some of the announcements and features were expected in line with the leaks that have been coming out in the last few weeks. Being a tech company, Apple likes to go into details of what they have engineered, and while I personally like to understand the low-level details, many of you might not be interested in knowing whether Apple used a 5nm manufacturing process or a 4nm one. So, in this video I'll give a quick glimpse of the products Apple launched and talk specifically about the new iPhone, and whether you should buy it or wait for more innovation in these products. Most of my explanation will be in simple terms, but I will still mention some of the technical details, where relevant. Before I start, please do subscribe to my channel and like the video, if the content is useful to you. Let's start with all products that were upgraded in today's event. Apple started with its watch lineup, Apple Watch Series 8, the successor to the current Series 7, the Watch SE 2, which leaves the SE behind, and finally the most expensive watch, the Watch Ultra, which is a completely new product. Next up was AirPods Pro 2, which improves the current AirPods Pro version, and finally the main item of the event, the iPhone Series 14. Apple probably wanted to save all the excited for the end, since it announced the products in reverse order of their usage across the world. I will talk about the iPhone, since that's the most sold product for Apple, and also because that's the first step before anyone buys the AirPods or the Apple Watch, as they an iPhone to work properly, except for the AirPods. So, what's new on the iPhone and what does the entire series contain? The iPhone 14 comes in 2 broad categories, the regular series, which has the new 14, 14 Plus and the Pro series, which has Pro and the Pro Max. There are 5 new colors on the regular 14, and 4 colors on the Pro models. Personally, I like the Starlight and the Midnight ones on the regular 14 and Deep Purple on the Pro, but your preference might be different from mine. The front screens are ceramic coated, with Apple stating that they are now more durable. The rear is glass with aluminum casing on the regular while the Pro uses surgical-grade stainless steel. On the Pro series, the top center portion of the phone comes with a new feature called Dynamic Island, which provides an area for alerts, notification etc. Due to this, the front camera has been shifted right, creating the space in the center. With the Dynamic Island, you can see directions, view messages, play or pause music, and see few other things without using the entire screen space. The Pro display is claimed by Apple as an always-on display, so that you don't have to activate the screen to see notifications. I personally don't like this as it forces people to keep glancing at the phone, but some may find this useful. Apple says the displays are brighter in the sun, so you will get better visibility in bright light. Next difference is the processing unit. The regular 14 series uses last year's processor, the A15 Bionic, though Apple claims it's a bit faster and seemed to have added an extra core compared to the iPhone 13 from last year. The Pro series uses the latest processor called the A16 Bionic, which is the successor to A15 Bionic. I won't go into details, but you can assume that it's faster than its predecessor. Now let's talk about cameras, which have undergone minor to massive changes. The regular series has got a somewhat improved dual camera system. Apple says the aperture is larger and there are more pixels, so low-light photography will be better and faster. Aperture here refers to the opening in the camera lens that decides how much light can fall onto the sensor. Think of it like, if your eyes are wide open, then you can see more around you and the dark objects might be somewhat visible, compared to squinting your eyes to make your line of sight very narrow, but now you might not see darker areas properly. The Pro series comes with a triple camera system and has a new 48-megapixel main camera with a larger aperture and a quad-pixel camera. What this means is, it can capture more light and hence it's better at low light or night photography. Apple also introduced Photonic Engine, which is nothing but a machine learning-based image processing system, which helps low-light photography and it improves photos in general. Their Pro models have an ultra-wide and a telephoto camera as well. The front cameras have got a new autofocus system in the existing true depth camera from the iPhone 13. The stabilization on the Pro is a second-generation sensor shift 1, while the regular 14 has got the same one as 13. The Pro has got 6x optical zoom and digital zoom up to 15x. This is lower than Samsung and other manufacturers, but hopefully the quality is maintained. With the 48-megapixel sensor on the Pro, you can use Apple Pro RAW to get details up to 48 megapixels. The flash gets an upgrade on the Pro in the sense that it can change the pattern based on the focal length being used in the photo. In simple terms, the light intensity will vary based on the photo being taken. Surprisingly, there is no 8K mode in the video options, which many other phones provide. The video mode on the Pro models do provide ProRes video recording at 4K. However, the regular 14 doesn't have this feature. The next new camera feature on all iPhone 14 series is Action Mode, that allows you to shoot moving videos with more stabilization, similar to action cams like GoPro or the Insta360 series. The Pro would be better at stabilizing the footage compared to the regular 14, due to the new stabilization feature. However, the regular 14 should provide somewhat stabilization compared to the iPhone 13. Coming to battery, Apple calls it all-day battery, although real-world numbers will vary based on your usage. The regular 14 comes close to the 13 with marginal increase of an extra hour for video playback, from 19 to 20 hours. The 14 Plus gives 26 hours of video playback. For the Pro, the numbers come to 23 and 29 hours respectively. As I said before, all these are Apple statistics, based on a certain pattern of usage, and will vary as you will use the phone differently. Most people don't use the iPhone only for watching videos. An interesting fact to note is there was no iPhone 13 Plus last year. Rather, there used to be a 13 mini, which was smaller. But Apple replaced the mini with a gigantic phone and called it 14 Plus. I wish they just had 3 phones, regular, Pro and Pro Ultra, something like that, instead of creating so much confusion. GPS on the 14 Pro is slightly different, and Apple calls it Dual Frequency Precision GPS, which offers a more precise location. The regular 14 does not have this feature and seems to have the same GPS system as the iPhone 13. Now let's talk about some new safety features. Coming first time to any phone other than a Google Pixel is crash detection. If a person traveling in a car experiences a crash, then the phone can detect it and send a message to emergency contacts and emergency services. It needs to be seen how this is put in action, but considering Apple had fall detection in the Apple Watch, which has been helpful to many people, the crash detection feature is expected to work as defined by Apple. It's an extra feature that I hope you don't have to use, but is there as an added protection for safety when needed. I mentioned that it's coming for the first time other than a Google Pixel. Were you surprised? Google has had crash detection since the Pixel 3, and it was launched in 2019. The problem with Google was it never advertised it the way Apple did it now. The workings are similar. The Pixel sensors detect a crash and give a notification and alarm to check if you need help. Google made a video about a user who used this feature in 2021 and named it the crash that called. However, they don't successfully market or publicize this feature, going by a view count of hardly 630,000. The second feature is Emergency SOS via satellite. Till the 13th series you have Emergency SOS features which need cell phone reception. But what if you are hiking in remote areas or in a forest with no cell reception? This is where, in case of emergencies, you can activate the Emergency SOS service via satellite connection, through which the phone will scan for a low Earth orbit satellite and connect to it. The time taken is claimed by Apple to be within seconds for open areas and few minutes when you are in foliage or not in an open area. Through this service, it will ask some questions and then send the details to emergency services like location, medical ID, battery life, etc. Apple says the service is free for first 2 years, but what happens after that, yet to be known. It's available only in US and Canada for now and launches later this year around November via an iOS update. The service is in partnership with a company called Globestar. Now, let's come to an interesting change, or should I say weird thing Apple did with the Series 14. For US orders, there will be no SIM card slot and Apple is forcing customers to look for eSIM options with their carriers. The argument being it will be safer, allow multiple numbers with same phone. Based on Apple verbiage, only 2 eSIMs are allowed. The eSIM basically restricts the iPhone 14 with only those carriers that provide eSIM options. Apple also says roaming is easier. However, if you go to a country where carriers don't offer an eSIM, it will be an issue for phones purchased in the US. People who go on vacation and prefer to purchase a local prepaid SIM card also will have a problem. Let's discuss pricing. The 14 and 14 Plus start at $799 and $899 and the Pro and Pro Max start at $999 and $1,099. As such, Apple seems to have decided to keep prices similar to the 13. For the regular 14, you can pre-order from September 9th and it's available from September 16th for the 14 and October 7th for the 14 Plus, while the Pro can be pre-ordered from September 9th and available from 16th Sept 2022. Lastly, I should mention that some features are introduced in iOS 16, so you may get them on the earlier models also subject to any hardware restrictions. Most of the other features remain more or less the same, so I'll skip going through them. The main question to be asked is, should you invest in the iPhone 14? The answer lies in what are you using the phone for, and your budget. If you have an iPhone 13, then I would suggest that you should wait for next year, as Apple most likely will have few more improvements along with USB-C for charging and data. Secondly, some phone manufacturers have introduced more technology features in their phones this year and Apple might try to improve on those and give even better features next year. If you are an active user, and by that I mean working in challenging conditions or have a need to be in remote areas in US or Canada, then the 14 might be helpful as it comes with a satellite-based SOS service. This, however, is battery dependent, so if you run out of battery, you can't use it. For a regular Series 13 users, who use their phone for photos and videos and general browsing app usage, the 14 is not a great improvement to spend money on. Now, if you are with a carrier that provides upgrades every year or 2 years, then you can definitely ask for a new phone. What about iPhone 12 or earlier users? In this case I would say you can go for an upgrade, although iPhone 12 users can also wait for another year, if you can. Anything lower than 12, I would say go for the 14, as it represents a good set of features and innovation that Apple has brought about. Now, if you do decide to go for the 14 Pro represents the best value in my view. While it's pricier than the regular 14, it's much better than the regular in features, and as such the regular 14 is somewhat similar to the 13, except for crash detection and SOS via satellite feature. I don't like the 14 Plus and Pro Max, as the phones are huge and largely, they mimic their smaller siblings in features. Additionally, a 6.7 inches phone is hard to hold in the hand for many people, and they would prefer to hold a slightly smaller phone. Personally, I have an old iPhone 7 that I have been thinking of replacing, and hence the 14 Pro is my choice. One thing I would highlight is that, if you are in the US, then get the 14 only if your carrier supports an eSIM. If you use any of the smaller network providers that don't offer eSIM yet, then you are out of luck. The other issue I see is carriers can impose few more restrictions on eSIM usage, and also provide it on specific higher cost plans. In this case the only option you have is to buy it outside of the US and then use it, as other countries still have a physical nano SIM option. In other countries, you should be good to use your physical SIM and also add an extra eSIM, if your carrier permits. In the end, it comes down to what you are looking for in the phone. For the not-so-tech-savvy folks, the 14 will do the job. For photography enthusiasts, the 14 Pro is best, and for people who want the biggest and best, and money is not a constraint, the Pro Max will be the best option if upgrading to the iPhone 14 series. And in case the iPhone doesn't interest you, you always have other options in Android. That's it, folks. My vote goes to the iPhone 14 Pro. Do tell me about your purchase if you decide to upgrade. For those that don't, there are a lot of expectations from Apple for the iPhone 15 when it's released next year, so your wait will be worth it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel.